Not a lot of attendees today because currently holidays in United States. Yesterday was Thanksgiving Day. Today is the day after Thanksgiving Day. So from the Magenta multi-source inventory team, I would like to say big thank you to all the contributors who are working with us, who are making the MSI real, who are contributing with own time, with own ideas and own code. And thank you. So there are not a lot of attendees, but there are quite a lot of things to show, and I believe those who would watch this presentation later would be enjoying seeing the status update of the functionality which we'll present today. So I shared agenda a little bit earlier. So according to the agenda, Bartek will start the presentation and will show how MSI is currently integrated with the existing catalog inventory functionality on the example of checkout process. So, yep. So Bartek, feel free to share your screen.
Okay, hello guys. So let's share my screen. Okay, let's start from, oh, wait a second, okay. Let's start from my demo of Magento front end. As you can see, I have plenty of orders that's already have been tested by me during coding. So we can reorder one of them. In the shopping cart, I have a quantity of 10 products, simple product. And as you can see in the backend, the quantity of this particular product is set to 81. And on the legacy catalog inventory stock, and on the MSI, there's also the same number of quantity. So let's go to the checkout and proceed. Yes, shipping next. Okay, so we have 10.
I see only your PHP store, not your checkout.
Ah, okay, sorry. Oh, okay. Wrong screen, sorry. So again, we have simple product in the backend with quantity 81 and MSI same quantity on the MSI catalog inventory, and we proceed to the checkout, and we have in our cart simple product with quantity 10, and we proceed to place order. And after that, when I refresh my backend product details page, you can see that legacy catalog inventory stock item quantity is set now to 71 according to latest order, and integrated with MSI inventory. As you can see, there is also the same number. So that's it. You can see that now our MSI catalog integrated with old catalog inventory stock, and this looks quite simple, but during this this implementation of this feature, there are plenty issues to deal with it, and as you can see, it works now. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Bartek. And so actually, I will just describe in several words actually our main strategy for the integration. And actually, this is a story which is currently took by Bartek, and Bartek just show you probably the main important ticket in the scope of the story. So yesterday we had the brainstorming with Bartek and Valerie and discuss all the use cases and possibilities how we're supposed to integrate the legacy code and MSI. So like, because taking into account that we had the old system API, which is the catalog, which is stock item model, and there was just an ability to make loading data and after that saving data. So we have quite a lot of bottlenecks and a lot of logic wrapped in the transaction. So like here we describe all the possible cases, like the case when we make stock setting using the stock item resource model. And actually this happens in most of the cases in, actually this happens in all of the cases in our current system in Magenta. So what we are going to do this, we are going to rob this data, rob this resource model save call into a round plugin, and actually check what the data gonna be changed, and save the data to the default source item, and synchronize the data to previous table, because we need to keep the previous tables, so the stock item and stock status up to date. Another thing, if when we have the stock deduction operation, for example, during the checkout process, as Bartek showed you, so all of the places supposed to be refactoring in a way of using new mechanism of add reservation. Because before that, we didn't have a dedicated API for the stock deduction. All the API we had was for the stock setting. But currently, all of that legacy code is supposed to be changed and refactored in a way of using our reservation append service. And so that's the second case. Another case we need to support is when the new system using the new API, so the add reservation, for example. And for the add reservation, we also have a plugin. And using that plugin, we're supposed to update the old tables for the stock item and the stock status, and update the quantities of this data with the plain SQL queries for the stock item and the stock status tables. And it's very important here to use the plain SQL queries to prevent the circular dependency between the legacy code and the MSI code. So we no need to use the stock item model or resource model inside this plugin. And the last use case we need to consider is when we are updating the source item. Actually, when we are updating the default source item, we also should pluginize this behavior, and we need to update the legacy tables, storing the data for the catalog inventory stock item and the stock status table. So actually, at the end of our synchronization, we're supposed to switch off old catalog inventory index. So we would end up with just a new indexation, and we will keep the data in a stock item table and the stock status table updated in the scope of our operation. So that's actually our main idea, and I didn't have a time, but I will definitely describe it in a more details during this weekend, and I will keep you posted and provide update on Monday with the precise description of all these business use cases. So that's how it's supposed to work. So now, according to the agenda, according to the agenda, it's gonna be Dwayne who will show the results of his contribution on the Mage test fest. But as Dwayne is absent today, so Valery will show the results of his work. So he provided a static test which actually checks using the white list and the black list all the files beyond changed, that this file supposed to use a strict typing in our project, because currently we decided to follow the agreement that we will use the strict typing for the all new files and new all behavior beyond added in the scope of the MSI, but sometimes we forgot about it and we don't have the precise test which will cover that functionality and prevent us from making a mistake. So Valery?
Mm-hmm. Hello guys again. I share my screen. As said Igor, during this week we finished work related to our code improvement. We constantly forget to add the strict type declaration to our new code, and Dwayne provides static tests which help to suppose to
so
generally. So I have created test pull request with one new file, and you could see that we have problem in this file. We forget to add strict type declaration. So I open commits, and we could see that we have failed our Travis build. Go to the Travis page, and we could see that we have failed static test. Open result, and we could see error that we have problem in our class without strict type declaration. So guys, please take into account when we will create new code. Please add declaration and fix static test if you will have some mistake in this declaration. I think that's all.
Yeah, and one more thing here, just to mention that this pull request would be useful not just for MSI but for Magento 2 code base as well. That's why actually we have the whitelist where currently just all the modules, all the MSI modules added. So actually the check will happen among this list of modules specified in a whitelist. And so potentially all new modules supposed to be added to this whitelist. And if, for example, we decide that some particular file, for example, which relies on a legacy code, it's okay to have it. So we have another black list which would be subtracted out of the list of files changed. So it's also possible to make a decision that it's okay to have the file without strict typing. Okay. Another in our agenda is Lars, who will show you how he fixed the replace strategy for the source item integration test, which we had read on our develop branch, and he will describe you how our replace source item import strategy is supposed to work. Lars?
Hi. I cannot share my screen. I don't know why. I cannot share my screen. I don't know why currently. Oh, I found it. Sorry. You see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. At the Mage test fest last weekend, on Saturday at the contribution day, I fixed the red build. The red build happens in the past because we merged, or we was merging some delete behavior, and yeah, and the test tell, okay, the delete behavior works not so as expected, but it was expected. And now I describe how works in the replace command. If an SKU and source ID matching for import data, the SKU and the source ID of an existing and all other fields will delete it and create a new record in the table. The standard before was we delete only by SKU, but for the multi-source inventory, it is wrong, because if you delete a shirt in every source, it's not good, because you must rebuild many stocks, and yeah, it's not, if one source don't has anymore this item, you don't want to delete all of them. And now I documentate this behavior. Also, I will create in the future some wiki page about this behavior, and also I fix this task for the behavior command. This was my task as at the Mage test first documentation follow. Thank you.
Okay, great, Lars. Just want to say that the functionality which Lars covered with integration test is pretty crucial one, because we a little bit changed our default replace strategy in the scope of source item import export, and we provided, actually we introduced such thing like multi-dimensions for the source items. And for example, currently if you have several warehouses like in Munich, in Berlin, and in Köln, and if you would like to import data just for one particular warehouse, for example, just for Munich only, so we would not overwrite all the existing data you have for Berlin and for Köln. So, and actually that was the default behavior which we fixed after we had a conversation with Mark Brinton, who is the product owner of the MSI. And now we covered the functionality with integration tests. So currently we just fix it with the integrational tested behavior that we can import data for one particular source, and all other data would not be affected for other sources. So thanks, Lars, for your contribution. And let's go to another presenter in our list. So that's gonna be Sinisha, but Sinisha is not on the call, so I will briefly describe what he has done. So actually, as you know, we have the idea of the default website and the default stock, and we're supposed to make a linkage between this default website and default stock, because the website represents the sales channel. But and actually, we covered that functionality of the website creation. So currently, for all the new website created, we are adding the default stock. But during the Magenta installation, we create default website using plain SQL query, so not using the API. And actually, there was a bug, so we did not make a linkage between the default website and the default stock. So actually, Sinisha made that happen and fixed that bug. Now we have the linkage for the default stock, even for the default website, which is created using the plain SQL. Yep. And also during the Mage test phase, Sinisha provided really good integration test, which is covering the whole checkout process. So placing a reservation, which supposed to make a deduction for both old catalog inventory APIs and the new MSI inventory API. So actually this integration test will help us. So it could be served as an end-to-end scenario, which will help us to check whether we have some problems with integration. For example, it would be useful for Bartek, who is doing currently the synchronization between catalog inventory and the inventory catalog. So that was the update from Sinisha. And currently I will show you the result of work which was contributed by Josh Carter. That's our new contributor from London, whom I met on Mage Titans in Manchester. And actually, unfortunately, Josh also could not attend today's meeting, but he sent me a video recording of his work. So I will show you the video recording currently. So I'm sharing my screen. And yep. And let's. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. So here Josh making some showing the file for importing data, and he trying to pay attention that there is like 100 items for the SQ. Now he makes the validation of that file, and after that he's making import of that file with the data. Now we're going to the product page and making an update of that page. And after the page is updated, we see that data is applied for the default source. And the default source quantity is 100. So actually the same as we had in our import file. Now Josh making changes to this file and changing quantity from 80 to from 100 to 80. So 80 is supposed to be a new quantity, which should override the existing one. So he's saving changes in that file, and he's going to upload this file one more time. So he's going to import page. He's choosing the product import. So actually this task is adaptation of old product import process, because our old product import also has quantity data. So we have the quantity and is in stock, and the different configuration of the stock item. So now Josh used the product as a import type, and he chosen the add an update strategy and provided this new update file. And now we are going to the product page, updating this page, and now we see that quantity was updated, and now it's 80, not 100 as it was before. So this is actually the presentation which Josh made for MSI, and actually the idea of the story he's working on right now, that I will show you Magenta MSI. So we need to adapt current product import and export behavior to support the data update, which should lead for the MSI data changes. So currently we just we just presented you how the quantity field is updated, and now it affects the new MSI API. So we made an integration with the MSI to the old import-export process. And what we will also add, so we will extend the format of the default import file, and we will add the possibilities to specify the quantity of product on different sources. So for example, this is one of the possible format how the data in a quantity field could be represented. So like the quantity of the some particular SKU on the source 2 is 300, and on the source 3 is 200, and the source 4 is 600. So Josh currently is working on the next ticket, which will support the different formats for the quantity field. So that's his current ticket, and he will show his update pretty soon. Okay, so the next in our agenda is Valery, who will show you some update about multidimensional indexes. Valery made some refactoring for existing indexes mechanism. So Valery, feel free to share your screen.
Could you stop sharing your screen?
Yep.
Okay, guys, if you remember, we already have big improvements from MSI project to Magento core system. It was about validation framework, about improvement the UI components, so on. And now looks like we close to have one more big improvement to Magento framework. It is related again to UI components, to fixing some bug, and one of our big improvements related to our index system. We don't want to put all our stock data in a single table. We would like to have one stock per one table, and we call it dimensional. We would like to have multidimensional indexes. But unfortunately, indexes from Magento don't provide possibility to have multidimensional indexes. And we introduce a few classes, a few interfaces, how to improve this behavior. And you can see that we provide multi-dimensional indexes namespace in our Leap framework, and provide a lot of classes how to work with multi-dimensional indexes. We have a few open questions about naming, about time when we need to create a table during installation or during some reindexation. But we will have index with Igor on Monday, on Tuesday, and we will discuss about all technical things. And I believe I will finish this functionality to end of the next week, and we will provide a new pull request to Magento Core with our improvements. So we constantly improve Magento Core. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Thank you, guys. And I believe we will finish the multidimensional indexes pretty soon, and we'll describe that on our wiki page. So it's supposed to be pretty big improvement for the whole Magento. So I believe that was the last point in our today's agenda. So we can probably finish our today's demo meeting. And guys from Atwix team who invited me and Valera to their office, we are going to start the Magento meetup pretty soon, and we have a presentation there, so we can then make us wait too long. So guys, thank you a lot for your contribution again, and don't hesitate to ping us anytime, because as you see, we have quite a lot of different interesting tasks on MSI track, and we are pretty close to the final goal of releasing of MSI and Magento 2.3 release. Thank you very much, and thank you for being on with us.
Thank you.
Guys, bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.